Hey everyone, it's Chris Summers with SummerSongsMusic.com. First of all, thank you for checking out this video and taking a little time to take a look at it. I've been blessed to be able to be a performing musician now for well over 30 years. It's a long time, and in this business, honestly, it's hard to keep going and keep working, but I've been blessed to be able to do that. And I honestly believe that one of the reasons I've been able to do that is not because I'm the best drummer ever, I'm the best singer or best guitar player. It's not that. It's because I've understood what the Boy Scouts and a working musician have in common. And that is that we've learned a good working musician as well as a Boy Scout knows that you have to be prepared. Gig preparation to me is possibly the most important piece of being a working musician. Learning to play your instrument, of course, is very crucial and you have to know those sort of things. But if you walk into a gig and you don't prepare beforehand, then you're going to fall flat on your face. Even the best musician, if they walk into a gig not knowing anything about what's about to happen, will usually make a lot of mistakes or take things in a direction maybe they shouldn't go. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit of what my gig preparation looks like. Currently, I play a show on Saturday nights for 200 to 300 people on average. It's a theater type show. The challenge of this is that we do approximately 40 songs every Saturday night. Not the same songs from week to week. Occasionally there's repetition, but a lot of times we're faced with learning different versions of classic songs. We're faced with learning songs that we may not have heard a lot or may have never played before, and even occasionally the songs that we've never even heard before that week. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but it also forces me to be a better musician and to be more prepared for gigs. So I take the same approach no matter what the gig is, whether it's a bar gig playing a bunch of standards that I may have played 1,000 times, or if it's a jamboree gig like this one, or an artist gig where I'm playing with someone doing original tunes. It doesn't really matter. My preparation is very similar. So here's the way mine works. You have to tweak this and make it your own, but this is sort of just to give you a roadmap. First of all, the way our situation works, on Monday nights usually, sometimes Tuesdays, each week we get a list of songs. We get a list of songs, what key they're in, and who the artist is. Okay, so that's my preparation list. That's what I've got to look over. I have to say, okay, I've done this one before. I've not done this one. I need to do this. I need to do that. My first step during the week, usually on Wednesdays, is to download those songs. For me, I use Apple Music. It works for what I do. I pay a small subscription each month. It's fairly cheap, tax deductible. But I use that as a way to put all these songs on. Some people use YouTube and make YouTube playlists. Some use Spotify. There's lots of methods out there for digital media without you having to go buy a bunch of music that you may never even listen to again, honestly, or may be things that you choose to listen to. So with that being said, that's my method. I download everything into an Apple Music playlist. I listen to that occasionally during my drive times to and from work, especially if I've got to go out of town for some reason. That gives me a little extra time to just listen to them, and especially songs I'm not familiar with, get them in my head a little bit. Most times on Wednesday night or sometimes Thursday night, this week it was Friday night just because of the way the schedule worked out, I sit down then and actually work on the songs. I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do. This is my own method. Everybody's got their own. I do everything mostly digitally. The reason I do digitally is because it's easier to modify. When we get to these shows, a lot of times things change. For the guitar players, the key may change. For me, order may change. Tempo may change. You may get an artist, hey, I want to push that song a little bit. I want to drag that song back a little bit. Whatever the case may be, we can change that on the fly. So this is what my list looks like. It's just a song list. There's nothing special or flashy about it. Hopefully you can sort of see it. There's nothing special about it. It's just a list of songs in the order they're going to be. And I will sit down with my phone beside me, earphones in, and then I break out one of the most important tools for a drummer, especially, the metronome. If you don't know the tempo of the song, inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to kick the song based on what's in your mind. And you may be correct. You may have exactly the right feel and right tempo when you kick it. But inevitably, someone on the stage is going to say, well, that's a little too fast, isn't it? Or that's a little too slow, isn't it? This takes that out of the mix. You can say, as I often do, maybe you want it faster or slower, I don't care. But that's record tempo. If you know the record tempo, you've got a starting place and you can move from there. So this is the Tama Rhythm Watch. Great item, Boss's Dr. Beat. There's hundreds of metronomes out there. I recommend you choose one with a tap function. So when I'm listening to a song, I tap the tempo. There are versions on the phone. Pulse I have on my phone just as a backup, because I've been known to forget this, battery go dead, whatever the case may be, and I've got a backup method. There's lots of versions out there. Find the one that works for you, but make sure, if you're a drummer, and I even recommend for other musicians, know the tempo. So you know when you're practicing, when you're listening, you know what you're listening to and what you're going to do. I take those tempos and I'll make them notes on my list beside the song. Also, I'll make notes if there's, like in this case, this particular song, there's a fiddle kick that comes in on the 2 count. So I know if 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and the fiddle's in. I know these things. I've got notes to know what to expect when we get to rehearsal and we start to go through these songs. The rest of my time, after I get this list compiled, later in the week, especially in drive time to the show or to other places, I'll listen to these songs with these tempos in my head, with these notes in my head, and just make sure that I get familiar with the tune. So when we get there, in our situation, what we do, we get there early on Saturday afternoon, a few hours before the show, and we run through the show. We get the starts, we get the stops. We sometimes go through a whole song if it's something we're not familiar with or a complicated piece that we need to play through. But I don't waste time at the rehearsal learning the song. One of the biggest pet peeves of myself, and I think most working musicians, is when another musician shows up and has not listened to the material, is not prepared. It wastes their time, it wastes the singer's time, it wastes the other musician's time, and it takes up valuable pieces of time that need to be used for whatever the purpose of that rehearsal is. This is true whether you're rehearsing the day of the show or a week before the show or a weekly rehearsal, whether it's praise band or traveling musicians or road bands for an artist. It doesn't matter. You have to know the material before you walk in the door. That's the time, not to learn the song. That's not when you learn the song. That's when you put the pieces together to make the song what it's supposed to be. The same preparation goes for whether you're a guitar player, a bass player, a keyboard player, a sax player. It doesn't make any difference what your piece of the puzzle is. The puzzle only works when every piece is prepared to go into place. That's my method for gig preparation. I challenge you to come up with your own method, whatever that may be. It's going to be a little different for everybody depending on your setting. I challenge you. Be prepared. Follow the Boy Scout model, and you will be a better musician. You'll work more. See you soon on summersongsmusic.com.